This is so personal and intimate. I'm gonna sit like this. This is comfortable. This is cute. Hello. Hi. Are we all feeling well? Are we all feeling interactive? Yeah? No? We got like really quiet on the interactive, which is that's okay. So I should let y'all know that I have like pretty awful luck in general. I totally left my computer at home and just had to like 15 minutes before this started try to remember everything. But I think I've done a pretty decent job. I also have a bit of a cold, so if you can hear like a little nasally thing, I'm not always just, just up there. It's not much lower in real life either though. My name is Selali, as was said. It's an Ewa name because I'm an Ewa person. I'm Ghanaian, is what that means. I'm from West Africa, you know what I'm saying? For those of y'all who don't really know where we are, but also borders are fake. Colonialism is crap. And I'm pretty much just gonna like list off a few things that I think are important to who I am and who I like to like claim I am sometimes, because I know that they'll mean something to someone, and I personally know that there's been times I've been in an audience somewhere and someone is talking and saying something really important, but I'm just like, but are you Ghanaian though? Or like some other thing that I need to know, right? So then I try to like walk through them. I already mentioned that I'm Ghanaian, super important. I grew up there, so although I've been here for like over a decade and I have this accent, so let's please not confuse it. I don't really believe that Canada should exist as a state, but because I already mentioned, we're on other people's land. I am queer, I am polyamorous, I am young, I guess in what people call age-wise. I am a former academic, like on my way to being a dropout, but not quite. I'm like, I'm right out the door. But I have a valid student card if anybody needs discounts, I'm a Virgo. I have a Libra ascendant for anybody that means anything too. And I also have a Leo moon, so yeah, some people in here. All those things generally mean that like, I like to think a lot, ruminate, reflect a lot, but I'm also like a great entertainer when I feel like it. Unfortunately, most times I don't, I'm a dancer. I actually dance with some homies over there. Ashley! I really want you to figure out the other dancer here. So I dance with some people like Ashley over there. I MC, and I talk like Maya said on radio. And today I want to be talking about self-care, but mostly something that I hear people not really get into too much, which is like how much we tend to have to protect the ways in which we care for ourselves. Like something else that's really important to me is that I'm Black. Some of you might have seen, some of you might not have noticed. Some of you might not, recognize where the swag is from. I'm just, one, my day is different to your year, but two, I'm just Black. And I know that being a Black person and being somebody who walks through the world and has been socialized as a woman, there are a lot of ways in which I have to take care of how I want to take care of myself. I have to make sure that I build a bubble around what I want my bubble to be, if at all. I have to make sure that if I want to have a decent day, I have to account for the fact that OC will still try to mess me up anyway, and then like already be okay with that and already plan a way to make up for it. Like I have to already plan the fact that, okay, I have to account for getting McDonald's at some point because I will be annoyed at something and I will have to treat myself, Dollars I wouldn't have to spend if I didn't even have to like bust. But I don't have that privilege. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and I think the best way to start it off would be with a verse by Jungle Pussy, a queen, I believe, a New York rapper who penned this song called Bling Bling a few years ago and changed the lives of many people worldwide. There will be some profanity. Please be warned. Please just, settle into it. Verse 2 of Bling Bling goes as such. It's a full-time job, fucking loving yourself. I have to do it in this really Canadian accent. Niggas try to rob a bitch of her self-worth and her mental health. Know a few bum-ass niggas who fuck bitches, cuff bitches just to sleep in the bed. Tell a bitch that he love her just so he can get fed. Damn ma, over here all that leeching is dead. Preaching to you little bitches, did you hear what I said? If I catch you niggas creeping, I'm gonna beat up your friends. Look out for my mama and my day one bitches. Independent women, we accumulating riches. Blowing haters kisses, forever fly misses. We whipping in the kitchen, so respect my business. Alright, and you know, if you like, yeah, you can snap, you can give it up for her. Those are some fire bars. Like, that's not me at all, that was all her. I feel like there are a few gems in there, and I'm going to repeat some of these lines through like some of these points that I have to share. But some of the things that I mentioned earlier, I mentioned that I'm like on the way to dropping out, but before I was like, oh, let me leave this crap institution. I've been studying applied linguistics and discourse for like a really long time, as well as a few other things. But pretty much what that means is that I'm really interested in what we do with language beyond just like actually speaking to each other, how we learn language, why we learn language, what we do with it in terms of how we create worlds, how they limit our understanding of certain worlds and how they can expand how we see certain things, but also what it means to me that I can sit comfortably like this so that some people don't feel like I think I'm better than them, what it means that, you know, this is an accessible level and how that can communicate a certain message to other people about the kind of event that this is. All these different ways in which we communicate that are linguistic and not, you know? And because of that, I kind of want to start with talking about the definitions that I have going on with self and care and what that means altogether. So for me, when I talk about myself, I talk about multiple selves. I talk about a holistic self. I talk about who I have been since I was 5 and who I'll probably never be again. I talk about all the parts of myself that I continue to hold with me, that I will probably shed eventually, but also that no matter what happens, I need to care for regardless. I'm talking about the parts of myself that I don't necessarily like or that I don't necessarily want to bring forward either, but that still need to be dealt with because I am myself and I can't run away from myself no matter how hard I try. And when it comes to thinking about care, I think about how we talk about caring about things and caring for people and caring or taking care of people and something that is supposed to be a perfect synchrony of all that. I mean, there's nothing perfect, but because of that, there's nothing imperfect. So something that is in its own way a perfect synchrony of that, where intention meets emotion meets action, and they all kind of work in tandem to make sure that real care is there and is present. So I think an example for that for me would be like, oh, I say I care about my little sister, which means that I have to practice that in a way that means that I not only care for her, but that I take care of her. That when she needs something, like I'm gonna leave my computer in the house because I'm rushing because I was braiding her hair and her cornrows are fire right now. She got a concert tonight. But these are the ways in which I can take care of her to show that I care about her. Just because I don't do those two things don't mean like, you know, neither one is present, but that's kind of what those two things can look like if they were together. And that's kind of where Jungle Pussy's line of it's a full-time job fucking loving yourself comes in, because to care for yourself in emotion is much, not necessarily easier, but it's something that we can do on a much smaller scale and carry along with us much more easily than practicing it. Like, it's really easy to say, yo, I know I deserve better, but it's really hard to, like, move in the world as though you know you deserve better. Even with work, I just look at people sometimes like I know they're lying, and they look at me like they're offended. Like, oh, you little black. Like, how dare you? Like, it's really a trash world that we live in, but it be like that sometimes, right? So it's a full-time job. I know so many of us have encountered people who kind of look at you like, why do you want me to consider you right now? And then you have to sit there like, am I the one who's messed up? Like, am I asking too much for asking you to be a decent human being? Strange. So taking care of myself also means that I have to be really compassionate with myself. Not only because like I'm a basic human being, but because the world is already so much more trash to me. I literally have to work so hard to even get to somebody else's level 0 before I'm trying to get to 100. So I need to be really gentle with myself. I need to be really soft with myself. I need to realize, again, I cannot run from myself. Like, there's no one here but me. So there's also no room for judgment. If I say that I'm trying to do better at something or I'm trying to change something, there's simply room for assessment and looking at possible suggestions and solutions for change if I want to enact something, but there's absolutely no room for judgment when it comes to myself. And in saying that, I want it to be known that that doesn't mean that, you know, like anything goes. Like, please don't run up to me and think you can try anything. And I don't really walk around through the world like I can do anything and get away with it either. just because I don't judge myself doesn't mean that I don't hold myself to certain standards, right? I want to be a certain kind of person, so I understand logically in the Virgo in me that I have to do certain things to do that. I cannot be an asshole and expect people to be kind to me. I don't have that kind of money. So I have to like move it in certain ways. So whether or not I believe that morality is something that like is universal, I do understand that if I slap somebody because I don't like them, that is ridiculous, you know? Unless they're absolutely foul. And even in that case, if I really don't like you, why am I in the same room? I could be doing better things, like trying to make that rich people money. So absolutely compassionate vibes in everything that I do. I hold myself with care, and I'm really, really patient. Like 2018 is really forcing me to learn that patience thing, but I'm trying my best to be really, really patient with myself. And it also means that I have to kind of personalize a lot of the work that I do out in the world. So I entertain, other times I like to think that I implore people to think differently about the world, and sometimes they take me up on that adventure. And I do a whole bunch of other things. I like to think that, you know, I'm like a literal vision that you can be a real softie and like, you know, still make it out in the world. Love is cute sometimes. But I can't really be doing all that and not really practicing it like within myself, right? Not just like within my own home, but I can't really be out here talking about how much, you know, like so many people are toxic and like Ottawa is trash. Everybody just wants to talk about everybody and not really do anything about anything, but that's all I do with myself. I can't really sit with anybody and talk about how much I hate people who talk about things but don't actually do anything, but I'm someone who'll talk about how much I want to get an A, but I don't do work that deserves an A. And it doesn't mean that I don't care about myself, but it certainly means I'm not taking care of myself. If I want an A, and I know that I should definitely not wait until the last half hour, like 11:29 is not a good idea, what the fuck am I doing, right? It's a full-time job, and I can't be clocking in and out. So it means that I have to be critical of myself in ways that are just very realistic and very honest. And if I'm not judging myself, it makes it easier to be able to say, hey, yo, Selali, what are you doing? You know, like, why are you being a piece of shit? Or why are you being an amazing, you know, ray of sunshine? Because, you know, like, how do you do that, you know? How did you get those eyebrows so popping? Just ask myself these real questions. And then reflect on what my answers are, but not just what those are, how I tend to answer and how I react to these questions. Sometimes I think I know myself, and then I ask myself something, and then I find myself kind of thinking, oh, I don't want to get there right now. And I'm like, why am I literally, like, trying to push myself away from myself? As though I'm not still here at the end of the day, like in the middle of the night, still with myself at the end of everything. So I try to be reflective in that process as well. And then, like I said earlier, go back to just making as neutral an assessment as I can make, you know? Obviously, not completely neutral because I'm biased because I love myself. But trying to make sure that I'm being as fair to myself as I can be and as fair to whatever else I'm considering is really important to me. Dr. Cornel West, who I think he calls himself an activist or like a scholar or something. He's like really cool, popular-ish, black old guy with like, he's old and stuff, he does cool things. He is, you know, problematic, but a broken clock is right twice a day if it's standard. And he said that justice is love out loud. And it made so much sense to me because 2018 has also really been like shoving in my face way too many opportunities for me to have to pretty much be in a conversation that can be summed up as, I love you, okay, well then act accordingly. Like, if you say you believe that you love me, then you want the best things for me. Then you want the best things for the best versions of myself. That is only fair, and that is only just. That is what your love has to be. It has to be just. So there's no way that you can love me in an unjust situation. There's no way you can love me in a way that doesn't allow me to be my best self or the self that is most comfortable for me or that I need to be for whatever level of my life I'm at. There's no way you can really love me if you're like, oh, yo, like, you know, I like you, but you gotta tone this down. Like, that doesn't make sense because you don't actually love me. You probably love how I make you feel, which is cool, you know, I'm fire. But you absolutely don't love who I am. Maybe you like the impact I have on you and the kind of connections we have, but you are not really someone who loves who I am. And I think about that on an individual level as well as like a really macro systemic level. But ultimately I try to remind myself, am I acting like I love myself? Like if I'm here saying I love myself, could I come to myself and then be like, yo, act accordingly? And then have nothing else to say, or would I have to be like, oh shit, I'm not acting accordingly, you know? So I try to like, you know, check myself on these things. What else is there? ooh, this also means the real crud of everything. That I gotta be really, really keen on protecting my vibe at all costs, which is honestly not even what I thought I'd be talking about when I started this. But I was like, you know what? This is mostly what I want to hear about. I feel like I have to protect my vibe from the world, from my people, but also from myself. You know, from the world because it's trash. We know this. From your people because it be your own niggas, and not all your skin folk or your kinfolk. And from yourself because sometimes you're just your own worst enemy. Like, you get rid of all the obstacles and it's just you. And it's not even because you don't want to be there. You're just there messing your own shit up. So I think a lot about how important it is to accept the fact that I live in a world that is unfair. Like, the playing ground is absolutely uneven, the game is totally rigged, so unfortunately I do have to feel like I'm protecting myself from something. I'm absolutely at war with a world that does not want me to be alive. So to go for that quest is like an absolute mission. The fact that I'm alive, you know, like, I'm aware that I sound grandiose, but it's absolutely revolutionary if you think about the things that my people have had to go through. And the fact that I'm on lands and in this space right now at the hands of a continued genocide of peoples that I don't even fully know about, you know? So when I'm protecting myself, I know that I'm doing this in a way that has to be militant. Because again, like, if I'm slacking on me, that means I don't think I deserve everything. Like, there is no chilling on that. So I have to make sure that I'm confronting people who sometimes make me feel like I'm doing too much, but then I have to realize that that's because you've all been socialized that way. Like, sometimes you'd be talking to someone and you'd be like, yo, I can't really hang with you right now. And they're like, oh, I totally understand. And then they hit you like 30 minutes later, like, you want to do something? And you're like, which part of, did you understand? That's what she said. And sometimes, you know, people really, really mean well. But it takes a lot of unlearning in a world where we have to kind of gamble with ourselves and gamble with our time and gamble with our energy. Where I have to, like, prove to you that I really care about you at the expense of myself. And it's kind of what we end up doing as well, where we convince ourselves that we don't deserve good things unless we sacrifice for them, unless we've, like, given everything that we have. But ultimately, you know what I'm saying? Nobody else matters. Because not everybody will be there all the time. And as far as you make sure that you're doing the least harm to yourself, you're doing the least harm to other people, and you're doing your best to be a decent person, you'll be fine. Self-care is like hard, practical work a lot of the time, and no one can tell you what it looks like. But as long as you're compassionate with yourself, and you're protecting your vibes at all costs, you know what I'm saying? It can be a lit time. Yeah. That's all.